Hi, my name is Tom. Welcome to my channel. I've been doing a series of videos on how to use ChatGPT to do Midjourney prompts, and today I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to talk about a project that I've been working on using uh, the new technology that was just recently rolled out by OpenAI, which is the configurable ChatGPTs. And this is where I am right here, is in the environment. I can't go out and come back in to show how you get into it because I'll lose my session here. Um, Maybe I'll do that at the very. Well, I think I'll just leave it like this. I think this is clear enough. I want to talk a little bit about ChatGPTs in general. So you have ChatGPT, which is the standard ChatGPT um, that has custom instructions of 1,500 characters. And that was developed, I guess it's been a couple of months, maybe about, I don't know, 2 months, maybe 2 or 3 months, which was a great improvement to the model because before that time, um, one of the greatest challenges in working with ChatGPT has to do with its context window. So the context window is what it can, in quotes, remember. It doesn't really have any memory, but it responds to text, and so you can build up the text that it can respond to, basically. And a problem was that it only could remember um, a few thousand tokens. That's what they use the term token, which you can think of roughly as translating to words. And basically, the way the technology works is it tries to predict the next token. Um, so when you'd be working on a project before it had the custom instructions, it would it could forget stuff. So, for example, you explain how to do some tasks that you have, and then you get diverted to some new topic or um, some other task, then it would forget the first task. Or if it's a complex task in the middle of while you're doing tasks, the instructions you gave it at the beginning of the explanation of what you wanted it to do would be come outside of its context window, and it would have behavior that looks like hallucinating or just making stuff up. And if you've worked much with ChatGPT, especially in the past, uh, you very likely came up with issues like that. So with the custom instructions, it provided you with 1,500 characters that you could, which that would be roughly 300 words maybe, that you could give it prepackaged it with, so to speak, before you start a session, that it would always keep in memory, so to speak. So anything that you said during the session, it will remember. I'll go ahead and speak as if it's human. I mean, it's not technically correct, but it's easy to understand that way. So it would remember everything that's in the custom instructions while you're doing your session. Well, what happened in the latest update, which I guess has been about 10 days or so, is that the context window was drastically enlarged. So instead of only be a few thousand tokens, it's now 128,000 tokens, which is more than 300 pages of a normal book. So it can remember the entire conversation that you have with it, even if it's a very long one. So that made me think about the custom instructions, which was, well, if it can remember over 300 pages of a book, everything you're saying in your session, and the custom instructions is a measly 1,500 characters. What do you need the custom instructions for? And I had heard about these chat GPTs, the if I say ChatGPT by itself, I'll be referring to the standard ChatGPT. And if I say something like a ChatGPT or ChatGPTs in the plural or the ChatGPT, I'll be talking about the configurable one. So I had heard about these things that had been released, and was curious about it, but really hadn't got my head around like, the concept of it until I had a conversation with ChatGPT, who interestingly enough, didn't know about it. This whole thing I find rather fascinating is that ChatGPT only has, it can only remember up to, I think, April of this year. So anything that's happened since April 2023, it doesn't know about, but it has the opportunity to search the web. So I was talking to it about ChatGPTs, and it didn't know what I was talking about. So it searched the web, and it found a website called OpenAI, which talked about ChatGPTs. And then it output some information about it. It said something that just made a light bulb just go off for me, which it said that the ChatGPTs are like ChatGPT, but with a souped up context window, or I'm sorry, with souped up custom instructions. That's what I meant to say. So the ChatGPTs are like ChatGPT, but with souped up custom instructions. I didn't use exactly that language, but that was the concept. And as soon as it said that, that was like, okay, I know what this is. I know how to use it. And um, the idea is simply to build up the custom instructions. And because it has this context window of 128,000 uh, tokens, you can give it all the information that you want it to have, uh, and then have it ready to go with, for example, I'm going to call them scripts. I'm going to use the terminology prompt for the Midjourney prompts, and the prompts for ChatGPT I'll call scripts, or I might call them instructions, and that's just to keep away from any confusion that the word prompt might use if I referred it to both. So you can develop all the scripts that you want ChatGPT to be using, and when you set up the souped up custom instructions, we'll call it, then it can have a whole list of scripts, and then in your configurable ChatGPT, you just are basically trying to explain to it like what it's doing and how to use the scripts and so on. And so I had the idea of doing two ChatGPTs. So one ChatGPT will be the main ChatGPT, which will do the Midjourney prompts, and then the other ChatGPT um, is helping me set up the environment for the the other one. So to avoid having to be using long descriptions each time I wanted to refer to one or the other, I called them C1 and C2. So C1 is the ChatGPT that I developed, that I'm working with now, to help me set up the environment for C2, which is the one that will do the Midjourney prompts. And so um, I I'm going to go through I'm in the middle of a session here. I'm going to go through the session that I'm having with it. Um, that'll explain sort of the process. And so what I did was I have a list of documents that I've been working on, and uh, to start a new session, I give all these documents because this is too much work to do in one session. And when I stop a session and start a new session, when I start up the new session, it doesn't know anything about what we've done in the past. So I need to bring it up to speed. And so the first thing that I did when I started the project was to give it all the information that it would need to understand what the project entailed and what its role was, And immediately I asked it to write out an explanation of that so that in future sessions I could give it that and then I wouldn't have to re-explain it. And so that's what I called the initial plan document, and number 9 here. And then in each session, I have it do project updates where it'll write out for itself the progress that's been made in that session. And then I have a list of the scripts that we've developed. And I think that's basically it. It's just all the information that it needs to know that I've been working with it in prior sessions so that it builds up accumulated knowledge in a sense. And when I start a new session, I give it all the documents and then we can continue from where we left off. So that's what this first part is. So I just told it I have a bunch of documents to give it. Please hang on while I'm giving you these things. Don't say anything until we're done. And then I'll tell you when we're done and then we'll take off from there. So that's what all of this is. And so that took a while. Okay, then here. All right. So we got to, after it got all of the documents that it needed, I said to it, right now I'd like to make a video about this project. I'd like to ask you to explain it and the C1, C2 architecture. What would you say? Let's do a trial run. And this is its response, which I thought was excellent. So I'm sorry. That was, wasn't it? It was uh, interesting, I should say. The first response that it gave was kind of a bit over the top because it didn't really match my personality, which is a bit more low key and informative. So as opposed to being, more like I don't know, like energetic, like a salesman or maybe an actor or something like that. So I told it about my tone and give it some more information, and then asked it to try again. So then it explained its role, and I guess I'll just read a bit of what it wrote. It said, "Thank you, Tom. As Tom mentioned, I am Midjourney Muse, also known as C1, in this innovative project. My role is pivotal in assisting Tom." Oh, okay. I remember this now. So when it was writing out what it was doing, it said, "My role is pivotal in assisting Tom and potentially you, the viewers, in setting up and effectively utilizing C2." And then when it read that, um, I realized that there was a misunderstanding there in its own use, because what I'm hoping to do is to release C2, which is the one that will do the Midjourney prompts. But C1 is just something I'm using to help me develop C2. Um, but aside from that, the explanation is quite good. So it said, uh, let's delve deeper into what it means, what C1 is doing. And it says that C2, the core of the project, is um, to build the Midjourney prompts. There's two types of the prompts: prepackaged prompts and user-generated prompts. The prepackaged ones are ready to use, crafted through a series of sophisticated scripts and methodologies. They are designed to inspire and facilitate immediate creative exploration in Midjourney. On the other hand, the user-generated prompts offer a more personalized touch. They enable users to craft their own unique prompts using the tools and guidance provided by C2, offering a more tailored experience to their creative endeavors. Now, how do I, as C1 or Midjourney Muse, fit into this? My task is to guide Tom through the intricate process of compiling and understanding the necessary components of C2. And I think I'll stop right there. But I thought it was quite interesting to have it, write out an explanation of what it itself was doing. And then I said, suppose I ask, how is the issue of having sessions stopped and restarted dealt with since you don't have a memory of past sessions? And it said, addressing the challenge of the session continuity, especially considering the lack of memory retention between sessions, is indeed a critical aspect of the project. Here's how I would address this question. And then it goes on explaining how to effectively navigate the challenge. We've implemented a systematic approach for session documentation and continuity. Here's how it works. So we document the progress. There's a bringing C1 up to speed document. So that was the initial conversation that I had with it. Oh, I meant to say, meant to explain. So that was the first thing that I did, was to have this overview of the project as a whole, so I wouldn't have to go over that each time I started a new session. And then the second thing that I did was to have it build, to start out the documents that I would need for C2. And so when I start up a new session, I give it those two things. So it knows what the overall project is, and it knows the documents that we need to build C2. And then we have this structure here where we're documenting progress. And then we have structured project updates. So at the end of each session, hopefully before it crashes, I have it write out the progress that we made in that particular session. And then when I start a new session, I give it the initial project overview, the documents that will be needed to set up C2, and then all of the updates of the projects that we made up to date, so that it starts out, where we left off. And then I asked it, what are the advantages of having two environments or two chatgpts rather than just having one? Just have the chat, the C2. And this I found really interesting, is that it wrote out this explanation, and I noticed that what it wrote out was showing a lack of understanding of its role, because it spoke about itself, C1, as if it would be something that would be used by multiple people, other people besides myself. And I suppose that would be an interesting project in itself, to have like a configuration ChatGPT, but that wasn't my intent. My intent was to use it myself and have C1 just be a private ChatGPT, and then the C2 is the public one. So when I noticed that it had this misunderstanding, I addressed that and explained to it what I just explained right now, and I asked it to write out an explanation for itself that I could add to the bringing C1 up to speed document, so that it would better understand its own role. And what I thought was really cool about this is that I really was intending to do this video, but that even if I weren't, this would be a really effective mechanism to find out how well you've communicated to it what you wanted to do. Basically, you have an interview with it, and you can see what it thinks about itself. And then by using that technique, better have it understand its own role. And I kind of backed into this by accident, since I actually am intending to do a video. But even if I weren't, this would be a good technique for making sure that you communicated to it what you wanted to know. So after it did that, I I asked to answer the question again about the advantages of uh, using the approach of splitting this up into two different ChatGPTs. And so it wrote out that by doing that, you can have focus development in C1. And um, I don't think I'm not going to go through one by one each of these, but uh, I thought it was quite interesting to. I mean, it's really good at this sort of thing. It's an amazing technology that OpenAI has developed. But um, I was thinking about like why I had done this, and I realized that unconsciously what I had created was a development and a production environment. And I used to work in software development, so I guess that was just a natural thing to do. I think it's a very good approach because what I'm doing with the C1 is I'm testing all the scripts, and so I'm making sure that everything works, and doing all the incremental work. And this is quite a lot of effort. Um, but my expectation is that when I get to actually build C2, the actual thing that I'm wanting to deploy, that should be very easy because I'll just have everything in place that I need to give to it, which is this essentially I'm building a context for it to start with, to where um, it'll be able to do immediately, hopefully, probably not in reality, but I think it should be pretty close to be working, right out of the box. And um, yeah, I think this is really a good way of going about it because it's 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 sort of messy work to try to develop a, a system if you want it to be um, effective and robust. It's easy to just develop a chat GPT on the fly. Um, they, they can do things. But if you want it really to be um, solid, I guess you could say, robust, and everything works well, um, I think it helps to keep it clean. And by clean, I mean it just has what it needs, and what it has works. And it's very difficult to do that in one environment. It's much easier to do it in two because the one environment you know you're doing. I think it's intuitive what I'm saying here, that I mean if I have if the way that I'm managing the documents, I have a blog that I have, and uh, this is a not published, but I'm just using it as a way of writing out things, and having all of the documents that I want to give to the ChatGPT. And there's just a lot of extra stuff here. It's just um, very difficult to be doing things perfectly. It's just not the way human beings are. And so by having the two environments, it's just a way of being able to figure out what's really needed and what's not. And then when I have the final product ready to go, then it'll be nice and clean. Well, hopefully you found that interesting, and I'll I don't know how long it'll take, but at some point I'll have C2 done, and then I'll be able to show that off. Um, but as that'll take a while, I think my plan is for the next videos is to do some more videos along the lines of what I was doing before in the other videos, which is just showing you how you can use the standard chat GPT to help you do Midjourney prompts. Well, thanks for watching.